So, welcome back. Now, last time I was trying to show you the hypothesis, and we say that the effect which are there because of the online testing. So, some of the effects are visible, some of the effects are not visible. So, what is the best way? Best way is to split into two parts. One is called as the test part, another is called as the control part. So, all the hidden effect could affect our measurement in an unpredictable manner, okay, and which is we need to have a two grouping done. So, one is a test group, another is a control group. Under the testing I put a hypothesis which is not available under the control, because I have need to control, that is the reason I have put a question mark over there. So, we must select this group in such a way that the only difference between the two is in our hypothesis. The hypothesis represent a test group and missing from the control. So, you have a hypothesis available under the testing. So, hypothesis will give me a answer. If I have a ad click advertisement coming on the Google website or any other social media or anywhere, will I be able to increase my revenue or not? So, the hypothesis is either null or a positive hypothesis or a negative hypothesis. So, let us see the detail. Now, this is a very interesting example. In medical trial, control group are the ones who get the placebo. Now, placebo meaning a usually pharmacological inert preparation prescribed more for the mental relief of the patient rather than the actual effect on the body. So, for example, anesthesia body will go, but I want something which is available in the mental, not in the body. So, we use a word called as placebo. Okay. So, in medical trial, control groups are the one who get the placebo. Suppose we want to test the positive effect of our new painkiller which I have designed. So, here are some examples of the bad test, not a good test. Look at here. Control group consists of only of women. Now, is it not a biased one? It is a biased one. So, the bad example is the number one is control group consists only of the women. Similarly, the RTC bus, only the control is because the free buses are given to the women only. So, is a bad example. Number two, the test and control groups are in different geographical location. So, naturally my results are not going to be coherent. Number three, and the last is you use a biased interviews to a pre-select group of the people from the experiment. Now, these three are a hallmark for a giving a best test setup. So, naturally my hypothesis is not going to give me a correct answer or a correct valuation. Will I be able to increase my revenue or not? So, this is the way we work in our hypothesis. So, the easiest way to create group is random selection. So, you should not select only the women, you go on selecting the people randomly. True random selection may be hard to do in the real world. However, it is easy for us to deal with the internet services, because internet services randomly I can pick up the people and I need not to know their location, I need not to worry about from where they are. So, this is a true randomness, I can do it. You may just randomly decide which version of your algorithm to use for each of the active user. However, be sure to always design experimental setup with the experienced statisticians or a data scientist. So, this is the hallmark of our understanding. You have to sit down, or if you do not know much about the statistic, take a help from an experienced statistician or a data scientist. In the next lecture, I am going to talk about who is a data scientist also, but right now a data scientist is a person who knows about the domain knowledge, who have a good knowledge of what you call as statistical methods and so on and so forth. So, take a help from experienced statistician or a data scientist, as correct tests are notoriously hard to execute, and especially in the offline testing. So, this is the hallmark of our testing. Statistical tests the validity of a null hypothesis. I hope all of us know what is meaning by null hypothesis, but we also know the meaning of the word alternate hypothesis. That is, a test result got are by the chance, not by the experiment. Okay. So, the opposite result is called as the alternate hypothesis. Okay. So, for instance, here is the hypothesis for our AJEET model test. Null hypothesis will give me the new model does not affect the ad services revenue at all. So, that means I am not gaining any information. So, when I am not getting any information, any new information is not available, new testing is not available, what do? I have a hypothesis which is nothing null, I mean which is giving me answer equal to null. So, whatever ad I was doing, I will continue with that. However, a alternate hypothesis will give me the new model affect the ad services revenue. So, the new model which I am implementing is affecting my ad services. So, that is a better option as a alternate hypothesis. Now, look at the satisfaction level and look at the level of a hypothesis. A statistical test measures the probability of a null hypothesis being true. So, I have to worry about at least my revenue should not come down. Even if a null hypothesis is there, I will accept that. If the chances are low, then the alternative hypothesis is the answer, okay, true. Otherwise, we will accept the null hypothesis. If according to statistical tech, now look at the way the probability that in new model does not affect the services revenue would be around 5%. Okay, we would say that we accept the alternative hypothesis at a 95% confidence level. So, it is affecting only 5%. So, at a 95% I am having a confidence that I will be able to succeed. So, this means that the model affect the ad services revenue with a 95% of the probability. Does this sounds better? Yes, it does sound better. The significance level of rejecting a null hypothesis depend on the level of risk you want to take. So, for an ad model which we are discussing right now, a 95% significance may be enough, with no less than 99% significance is a satisfactory that for a model that tests the patient health condition. So, as far as the revenue is concerned, 95% is a perfectly okay, but for a patient health condition, a 95% also will be a problem for us. So, you have to go with a accuracy or a confidence level equal to 99 or above as a significant satisfaction for a model that tests the health conditions of the patient. So, this gives me a relative idea about the confidence level. It also gives me the idea of accepting the null hypothesis or a alternate hypothesis. Now, look at the way the most typical hypothesis test is comprising of two means. You have a statistical mean, you have a sample mean. So, take the two mean. If we use this test in our ad example model, we would measure average revenue with ad and without the new ranking algorithm. We may accept or reject the null hypothesis using the test statistic which is experimentally finished. So, this sounds to be better. This is more of a scientific method and this is also a confidence method. So, either of these two will help us. So, the amount of data you need to collect for conducting a hypothesis study depend upon several factors. Three factors I have listed out and these three factors are very important. Now, let us look at one by one. Confidence level. First and foremost is confidence level. It tells me that the more statistical confidence I have or you need, the more data I will require to support my evidence. I think the phrase is very clear and it tells me that more confidence I should have, more data I should be able to test upon. Second tells me statistical power, that measures the probability of detecting a significant difference if one exists. The more statistical power you have to test or you have test to, the lower the chance of a false negative response. So, this gives me a statistical output or statistical power, give me that my chances of going negatively as a response will be false and less I will go negative. Then third and most important is hypothesized differences and population variance. Now, last time I already explained you about the variance. Variance tells me how much away you are from the mean. So, if your data has large variance, it is a significant one. So, if your data has a large variance, you need to collect more data to detect the significant difference. However, if the difference between the two means is smaller than the population variance, you would need even more amount of data. So, these three, confidence level, statistical power and hypothesis differences and population variance, are basically going to give me a good conduction about the hypothesis testing. Now, let us see a small table, and this small table I have borrowed from the book. You can see how a different test parameter determine their data hunger in the following table. Look at the confidence level 95, 99, 99. At 95 level, my statistical power gives me a hypothesis is equal to 90%. Hypothesis difference only 10%, okay, or $10, whatever we want to call. Population variance equal to 100 and equated sample size 22 at demonstration to the client. 99% confidence level, 90%, 10, 100, 30 at demonstration. So, hardly there is any difference. Now, look at the level of confidence equal to 99%, $1 only from reduction from 10 to 1, same population variance, 2976 at advertisement or demonstration to the client. So, a confidence level of 99% is giving me a more and more amount of information, and not only information, it is saying that what is the sample size. So, that means this kind of analysis, this kind of what we call as a hypothesis will be a much better to take it. So, while powerful hypothesis tests have limitation, you need to wait until the experiment and before you can apply the result. If your model is bad, you won't be able to reduce the damage, already the damage is caused. So, this is the problem when manufacturing company like four-wheeler, they produce the car and they they sell the car in the market, and sometime after 1 or 2 months of their running, they found some mistake in the car. Already they have sold millions of the car and the damage has already been done. So, the company cannot either take car back or give a replacement. So, this is what we call as a bad image of the company too. So, your model is bad, you won't be able to reduce the damage caused by the model without compromising the test procedure. And the third, another limitation is that you can test only one model at a time without a single hypothesis test. With a single hypothesis test. So, these are the three limitations of our hypothesis. Another alternative way of looking at the hypothesis is called as a multi-arm bandit. So, let me explain to you. In situations where you can trade off statistical rigor for speed and risk aversion, there is a alternate approach called as multi-arm bandit, MAB. To understand MAB, imagine yourself inside a casino with a lot of slot in the machine. So, we go on a casino and we put the money on one of the slot and it goes on rotation. So, you know the sum of those machines yield a better result than the other. The task is to find the best slot of the machine with a minimum number of trials. So, naturally I am looking for a best option with minimum number of trials. Thus, you try different or multiple arms of a slotting machine, okay, that is bandit, to maximize your reward. So, what is your reward? I should win. You can extend this situation of testing multiple ad mod. For each user, you must find a model that is most likely to increase your revenue. So, what is multi-arm bandit example? One real world example of a multi-arm bandit problem is when a news website has to make a decision about which article to display to a visitor. With no prior information about the visitor, all click outcome are unknown. So, I do not know, I have a lot of different kind of news available, and this is what the problem is. The first question is which article will get the most number of times the click. So, this is what we call as a multi-arm bandit problem. Now, I have shown you a figure here. You can see one how many arms? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 arms. So, one person is having multiple number of arms. So, that is why it is called as a multi-bandit arm algorithm. So, the most popular MAB algorithm is called as a epsilon greedy bandit, whose working method is very simple. What do you do it? Very simple. Select a small number called epsilon and let us take a value of epsilon is equal to 0.01. Choose a random number between 0 and 1. That so your answer is lying between 0 and 1. This number is will determine whether MAB will explore or exploit all the possible outcomes of the choice. So, I am trying to explore either should I go for A or B or C or D or E or F. One is exploitation, another is the exploration. Now, let us look into the detail of this. If the number is lower or equal to epsilon, which I have taken as 0.01, make a choice at random and record a reward after making a action tied to your choice. We call this process as exploration. So, I am going on exploration, I am going on exploration. So, MAB tries different actions at random with a low probability to find their mean reward. If your number is greater than epsilon, which is equal to 0.01, make the best choice according to data you have collected, and we call this process as exploitation. So, exploration, exploitation. MAB exploit knowledge it has collected so far to execute an action that has the best expected reward. So, naturally I will go for this one. Select the best action by averaging all the recorded rewards for each of the choices, and select a choice with the greatest reward expectation. So, this is a very popular algorithm called as a multi-banded algorithm. So, frequently we start with large values of epsilon and decrease it to a smaller value. So, in this way MAB explores a lot of random choices at start and exploit the most profitable action towards the end. The exploration frequency is gradually diminishing, becoming close to 0. So, I need not to go hunt again and again and again. So, exploration should become 0, exploitation become 1. When you first launch MAB, it collect reward from random action. As time passes, you will see that average reward for all choices converges to a true values. The major benefit of MAB is that they change their behavior in real time, and while sometimes it is waiting for a hypothesis test result, MAB gives you a changing picture when covering the best choice. Bandit are one of the most basic reinforcement learning algorithm we teach in our RL machine learning and reinforcement learning. So, reinforcement learning banding algorithm is very powerful. Despite their simplicity, they can provide a good amount of results. So, with this background, I have finished my offline testing, online testing and the bandit problem. Thank you so much.